Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you today. We have been working on this Williams high-speed pinball machine, and on our first video we went through it and we figured out that the thing is actually still up and running, even though it's been sitting for a long time. And we reworked the Playfield, so we took everything off, shopped it, waxed it, cleaned it, painted part of this little stoplight back, got everything looking pretty good, put everything back on it, and the Playfield is pretty much done now. So we
Dispatch, this is 504, suspect in the site, over.
we're now to the point where we're going to fix up the electronics. Now, as you can see, it's already up and running, but it's got a few issues. So for instance, a lot of the bulbs are burnt out, things like that underneath the Playfield. So we'll work on that, and then we're going to work through all of the boards in the back. We've also got a display here that's hanging off, about to fall off. So it's a race against time. Will it fall off before we get the thing fixed? We'll see. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prop open the Playfield, and we're going to replace all the bulbs. so we got all of the light bulbs replaced, but now we're going to mess around with the flippers. This particular flipper, the bat is getting stuck when it goes down inside of the coil. So you're going to see in this video that I basically took the flipper coil off, took the sleeve out of the flipper and put a new one in, but then it was still getting stuck. So I put a new coil stop on it, and the reason for that was because when the plunger is hitting the coil stop, sometimes it will mushroom out the end of the coil stop. And so instead of replacing the plunger, which we might end up doing anyway, I took a file and I filed the end of the plunger off where there was a little bit of a lip, like you can barely see in this. There's a little bit of a machined lip from where it smashed it. You can file that off with a file and get it flat again, or even a little tapered at the very end on the corners, so that it seats good against that thing. Once that mushrooms out a little bit, what happens is it gets caught in the nylon sleeve inside the coil, and so the thing will stick closed and it won't release like it should. So I'll show you that real quick, how we messed with that. So we got the flippers done. Here are the flipper sleeves I pulled out. You might have noticed that when I pulled them out, they were hard to get out, so I had to pull them out with pliers, but they did come out. And then whenever I put the other one in, I had to beat on it a little bit to get it in there. Sometimes you run into that. So one way you can do that is if you put the coil stop on it to hold it in place, and then hit the back of it. Usually it'll drive it in there. I cleaned the end of stroke switches. Now I changed the plungers, but you might have noticed I did it the hard way. I took this bolt out. The easy way would be to take the whole thing off, including the pawl. But if you do that, you have to readjust the flipper on the front because you have to put the bat back on and then tighten it. And that's my least favorite thing to do. So to me, I would rather take this nut off, this bolt off, and slide the plunger out and replace the plunger, because you don't change the angle of the flipper on the Playfield and then have to go through all the trouble of realigning that. And I was looking before, and I'm pretty sure that they're aligned pretty nicely the way they are, so I didn't want to mess with that. So we got these in. The reason that I changed the plunger, I'm going to show you how to fix your flippers, okay? These weren't extreme. We could have got away with these. But if you look, see that little rivet in there? I don't know if I can do this with one hand. But if you'll see there's just a little bit of play in that. Whoa, there we go. See that play? That little bit of play will severely decrease the power of your flippers. When you the plunger, when it's at rest, I'm holding it upside down, it pushes down like that. And then when you hit the flipper, have I got this right? It would be the other way. Either way, there's play in it. So whatever you hit the flipper, you have to move that little bit of travel before it actually gives you your flip. And you want the strongest flip possible. So these new ones have no play in them at all. On some games, there is a little bit of play in the plunger, just brand new. Also, on these, they have the conical springs, so you have to watch which pawl you put on it. This one is like a tapered link on the flipper. This one, you see it had a little hip that grabbed the spring. There's another kind that's kind of rounded. You can't use that kind because the spring will get stuck. But these ones will work for it. Everything's cool. So you can also replace the coil stops. I didn't on this one. They had just the slightest little burr along the edge, and I filed them. I filed that little burr off before I put them on. But you could replace that too to help make your flippers stronger. You kind of want a flat seat. You want, whenever this goes in, for it to hit the coil stop flat. The actual pawl itself hardly ever wears out. Sometimes you replace those just because yours is missing or something or whatever, but on this era, you don't even have to mess with that. And then you want to set it up so that whenever you see the thing is still a little white, you can clean that off, but it won't really help it be any stronger or anything. So whenever the flipper pulls in, and you don't want to push it in from this, you want to push the actual plunger in, because that's what the thing's going to be pulling. So if you've got play in yours, you don't want to worry about what's going on down here. You want to pull the plunger in, and when the plunger gets all the way down, it should open that switch just a little bit. And then whenever it lets go, it should move the small blade just a little bit. This one here, because the power is going through it. So I think we got them adjusted pretty good. They'll probably be quite snappy. So that's all. We got all the lights done. Oh, you might have noticed when I was doing it, I found one more light bulb that I had missed. So all the light bulbs are replaced, including the flash bulbs, the big old flash bulbs. I have no clue if they work. The flippers are rebuilt, all three of them. That one we used the original plunger because it seemed like it was in decent shape. So now we're going to lay it back down, and we're going to change all the light bulbs in the back box, the head thing first, and see if we can figure out something about that display. Okay, so it's easy enough to put a little tape on it to get it straight again, but here's why I was saying, I kept joking about will it break, will it break. There are all of these little feet that are connected to plastic lines inside of the display. So as you can see, because it's been hanging down for so long, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the feet are no longer connected. That's going to cause problems. So it was working, but the top line on the display wasn't working, and a couple other things. So we've got to look and see if all of those even hook up to stuff. Some of them don't. So some of them, if they break, it doesn't matter because they're not connected to anything. But some of them are connected to some things. So I've tried before to solder them, and that does not work because you're soldering plastic to metal. So of course that doesn't work. So I'm going to try to glue them. I don't know if that'll work, but we're going to try. We might be able to like bend them where they go right back and touch the little plastic thing that they're supposed to touch, and then put a little drop of glue on it so that it doesn't move. So we'll see. That's our attempt, at least. I can't really zoom in with this camera enough that you'll see it. You can kind of see it. There was a little plastic piece sticking out of the glass that the metal is basically electrically touching. So we're going to try to lay those back in there and see if that does anything. If not, we'll have to get it under display, so wish me luck. So the line that is missing is the very top line of every digit. And if you look very carefully, this pin number 1, I don't know if I'm going to be able to even show you this, it's so tiny. See where pin number 1 is soldered to the board? If you look very carefully, I'm going to try to zoom it in. We're on micro level here, people. This might be a caffeine issue. Let's see if we can get it to zoom. Focus. If we can get some focus, I could show you what I'm talking about. It doesn't want to cooperate. Let's try this another way. Too close. Too far out. All right. Okay, that very first pin. It's not going to let me do it, is it? Looks pretty good there. Trying to show you what to look for. It is slight. There you go. It's not gonna let me zoom. You see the problem, right? It is disconnected from the board. We're going to solder that back, and that's gonna fix it. Now, on the front, I put a little bit of tape too all the way around the top, clear like packing tape, so that you can see through it. Yeah, I didn't put it all over the front, just the very tip, the very edge. If you look on this board, and if you look at the schematic, some of these pins are redundant. Like this one here is the same as this one. See how it circles around? They even have it drawn on the glass. Now there's a reason for that, I'm sure, but we're in a situation where we're screwed, people. We're screwed. So we're just going to rely on the one pin. It'd be better if we had both of them, but we're going to rely on the one. That may even be why they did it, in case one breaks. This one is by itself, but this is it's like the 100 volts or something, or the negative 100 volts, and there's another one somewhere else that does the same thing. This one here is the same way. It circles around to there, so since this one's still good, you don't necessarily need that one. These two are still together. These two, both of them were broke, so I pushed both back in where they go and then glued it. And if you look real close on the connector whenever it's broke, it does look like there's metal up in there. I don't know. There's like a little piece of metal, it looked like. I could barely see. So I cleaned it off as good as I could and stuck the thing in there where it was touching it and held it in place and put a little bit of super glue. So I'm going to solder that one pin back that's separated from the board, and we'll see what we got. Okay, so we're going to go back into the gameplay and see. Now if it fixed it, you know I'm going to put in that super cool dubstep music, right? So if you hear it start fading in, you know before it happens that it must have fixed it. Oh yeah! Oh. Wait a minute, it blinked or something, didn't it? Didn't we have an issue there? The second digit, is it screwed up? I mean, I could go into the test, but was I tripping? Am I tripping? I must have been tripping. Now we got to go into the test. I don't remember how to do that. How do I go into the test and figure that out? Let's see. This must be down, and you do it this way. There we go. Here we go. Well, you know what that means. Oh yeah, with the cool music. Oh yeah, man, we fixed it. That's right. Okay, so now that we fixed that, we're going to swap out those light bulbs like I threatened. We'll leave this running for a while. Why not? I'll swap out those light bulbs like I threatened, and then we'll start on the circuit boards. Okay, so that all worked out pretty good. I'm going to try to get to the flasher test. I don't. Let's see if we've got one. It might be under coil test.
Pull over. Pull over.
Okay, so there's all of my Playfield lamps. You can see the ones on the back box are working just fine. Do you see any out anywhere? Yep, I do. That first arrow, let's keep that in mind. That first arrow up there isn't blinking. Okay, so now I'm going to try to get to the flasher test. Single lamps. Whenever it does that, it runs through each one. It takes forever. Coil test. This may be the flash lamps. It did the flashers on the Playfield, but I'm watching the back box. It looked like it did 3 of them on the back box, but that left one, it didn't look like worked. Let's see if the first flasher works. Stuff's hard to figure out. Okay. So we're going to watch these. The top flasher, something lit up there. Left one, right one. Those did. I haven't seen this one yet. There we go. I don't know. There's something. I'm not sure that the one in the back box worked right, but I wonder if we can. Oh, yeah, we can step through it. Okay. Top flasher. So that's 2 of them up there. Okay. The police light. Okay, we need to check that too. Flasher number 2. That's all 4 of them, people. Flasher number 3. that all 4 of them? No, the one all the way on the right I don't think is working. Flasher number 1. Insert flasher. Yeah, let's see, the left one is not working. So it's this one. Oh, you know what? It is glowing just a little bit, so it's trying. That might be a test thing, since it's in test and not enough. It's not leaving it on long enough, maybe. All right, so I think we're pretty good on those. We'll keep an eye on those couple flashers and that one little light bulb up there. So let's check the. I kind of need to test the police lamp. Okay, so the police lamp is coming on and it's barely moving, but that's because it's just pulsing it. If it was giving it power the whole time, I think it would probably spin around just fine. It might be real noisy though. I can hear it from here going as the motor tries to turn. But it does seem like it's at least trying to work. I think we're probably good there. We'll probably have to play it. Maybe if we put it in a track mode, it'll do it. What do you think? Come on, a track mode with the light doing its thing. It talks so much when it's in a track mode. You'd think it every once in a while it would make the light turn around. It does it when you play it, but I think it does it when you get real deep into the game. I think you have to get the police running from you. There's also a little sign that goes up on top. Hot action pinball. Come on, attract mode with the light. Did they have the balls to turn the light on during the attract mode? I would think that they probably did. Maybe while the cops are talking. The whole reason that I think it might not work is because it was off. That it was inside the machine. So why did they remove it? Was it because the location complained? They could have just unplugged it, but for some reason they had removed it from the machine, but it was still inside the machine. This would be more fun if we waited for it with the lights off. Come on, attract mode, cop light. So it has a light that lights up, and then there's a little mirror that spins around and makes it a cop light. They're not even talking to me today. Yeah, that's right. We used the same music 3 freaking times. Okay, so we're looking good. That one light bulb, the socket just needed a little twisting. But I don't see anything else out. So, I think we've about got all of, you know, oh man, look at this. It's the light bulb in the pop bumper. I can't finish this video with that like that. Much better. Okay, folks, so that's it for this video. We got all of the lights doing their thing. If you remember, though, they were kind of already doing their thing. We rebuilt the flippers. It might be hanging. Might have to take that apart and fix it next time. But we'll watch it for a little bit. But we got our displays working good. We got all of our light bulbs working good. We got all of our flashers working good. The only thing really left is we got to keep our eye on that light thing. We've got to clean up the cabinet a little bit, and we've got to do some preventative maintenance on the game boards that are already up and running anyway. So stay tuned, people. Oh, and the other thing we have to do, we've got to play it, right? We've already filmed a video of us playing this thing though, so if you not this one but another one. So if you're just dying to see how it plays, if you look on our channel here, we've already done like a full video of it. This thing has some really cool modes that you get into. I'm not like the world's greatest player or anything, but I got into a couple of them and it's really sweet. It's just very well programmed, and even the light show is well programmed. Very cool. So leave your comments below on what you think so far. Give us a thumbs up, and I'm particularly interested in knowing, what do you think about that little bit of wear on the Playfield that we were talking about? I showed that a little bit in the previous video, but tell me your thoughts on that. And I hope you've enjoyed it so far. This thing's turning out pretty nice, I think. I would be proud to have this in my game room. So leave your comments below. Give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it all for you. And we'll see you on the next video.